It's fine for your movie to be cheesy, as long as it's well done. If you need to have that cliche line, at least make sure your actors say it with conviction. If all of your music is going to be overdramatic, then pick good original tracks to carry the scenes. Don't use 15-second boilerplate tracks that you're going to have to loop 50 times. Finally, don't make an action movie and then spend all the money on everything but the action. Hello and welcome to my channel. Here I review new movies and television shows and try to release a new review every day from Monday to Friday. Today, I'm going over the film The System. It's written and directed by Dallas Jackson and stars Jeremy Piven, Tyrese Gibson, and Terrence Howard. It's an action film centered around an underground prison fight club. This movie starts with and ends with a cliche. It is jam-packed with stereotypes and dialogue so unoriginal that I actually started to wonder if this was some kind of weird exquisite corpse experiment. The acting is ham-fisted and stiff, with only Terrence Howard and Maurice Crump managing to salvage any of their screen time. The music is so overdramatic and repetitive that the movie feels like a soap, and the action is choppy, sped up, and only worth watching when Maurice Crump is on screen. The story follows Terry Savage, a highly decorated former Marine that is down on his luck and robbing drug houses to try and afford medicine for his sick daughter. He's arrested and meets with the district attorney who offers him a deal. Infiltrate a private prison and gather evidence about the illegal fight ring they run, and the government will pay his daughter's bill and forget about all the people he murdered in the drug house. As you can see from that limited description, it's a trope-heavy film and every scene comes with an extra side of trope. All that was explained to the audience within the first 10 minutes of the film, and it never stops with the exposition dumps. It's overt and feels like getting hit in the head every few minutes. My mind was ready to explode with the amount of useless information provided. The monologues often aren't well delivered, and the dialogue itself is so cliche that it's physically painful to listen to. Every character speaks like they're in a soap opera, always finding the most dramatic thing to say at every moment. No one ever relaxes or speaks to each other normally. The story does poorly at presenting the emotions it wants you to connect with, and engages with those same emotions on such a shallow level that it comes off as virtue signaling. They vomit out platitudes without ever giving voice to the daily concerns of the inmates and present them as an animal-like people who all enjoy debauchery and depravity. The moral message of the film was that inmates are people too, and that the system is wrong in how it treats them. The movie beats this point home consistently with its dialogue, and yet shows so much to the contrary. As I said in the beginning, Terrence Howard and Maurice Crump are the only actors to salvage any of their screen time. Howard plays Bones, a convict serving a life sentence that takes Terry Savage under his wing and teaches him some fighting skills. He serves as a friend and mentor to Terry and does his damnedest to make the dialogue work. At moments you can see his ability shining through and his lines don't sound quite so corny. Crump gets almost no dialogue and very little screen time, but during his time on screen he manages to show off some decent stunt work and his line delivery was leagues above the majority of the cast. A lot of the cast plays their role like they're on stage. They're overly emotional in their inflection and have almost no volume control. It's shouting or whispering and nothing in between. Jeremy Piven constantly switches between his normal accent and a terrible Texas accent. The head guard does a fake evil laugh after every line, and the racists say their lines like they can't wait to go home. Most of the cast looks checked out. The production quality of the film isn't terrible, but it has some obvious flaws that are annoying. The camera shakes a little bit, but the movement the cameraman injects into every shot does a good job of minimizing it. The music has 2 or 3 original rap songs, and then a metric boatload of 15-second boilerplate tracks that it loops and uses to underscore every single moment of the film. There is never any silence, and the dramatic music they use while people are talking dials the emotional intensity of every scene up to 11. It makes the dialogue and actors really hard to connect with and is incredibly distracting at times. It comes in too loud and overpowers the dialogue at times, and often feels poorly chosen for the mood of the scenery. There are a few times when the music fits oddly well, and there are a few shots in here that actually are quite creative. When Jeremy Piven's character is doing the breakdown on his operation and the camera keeps focusing and refocusing between him and the workers behind him, it looked quite fantastic. There are a few moments like this in the film that are a nice touch, but not worth sitting through everything else for. The system is a mashup of cliches and tropes that aren't well blended together. It's lumpy and gross and smells like cat vomit. It was hard to sit through and I had to pause for 5 minutes after every terrible line to go reorient myself. The acting is ham-fisted, the music is soapy, and the story isn't interesting. The action isn't good enough to make up for the rest, and the meager attempts at delivering a moral lesson are ruined by the overwhelming depiction of criminals as animals. 3 out of 10.